Hi, and welcome to Commissioner's Corner. I'm your host, Lois Leonard, and thanks for joining us. Mayor Walsh has been quoted to say that Boston is a city that welcomes all residents and works to lift up every family and individual in our city, and that includes our immigrant communities. Today, more than ever, that job is not a simple one. To help us understand how the work gets done, the Director of the Office for Immigrant Advancement, Alejandra Guillen, has been kind enough to join us today. Welcome.
Thank you
so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Well, the environment for immigrants in this country has been called hostile by many. Might you be able to tell us how that affects our city of Boston?
Sure, absolutely. So the past 18 months has been definitely a challenge, and we've seen the national rhetoric go in a direction that is hostile and makes many feel uncomfortable. Immigrants of status and immigrants without status. It's just been, it's not the values that we live up to as a country, and certainly that we hold dear as a city. I think that immigrants have a right to be fearful, but in Boston, in a city, as you mentioned, that with a mayor who is so open and welcoming and clear that this is a city for everyone, that our city services are for everyone, that our schools are safe, that you can trust our police. We hope that helps immigrants in our city, in our neighboring cities, feel more comfortable and feel that at least in this small part of the country, they're in a place that welcomes them and appreciates them.
Well, your office does concentrate on the people.
Yeah.
You are helping each individual, so I'd like to talk about the many programs that you have in place, because being well informed, of course, is crucial, extremely important. So tell us about the Immigrant Information Corners that you have in place.
Sure. The Immigrant Information Corners are kind of like a one-stop shop for resources for immigrants. They're in every single Boston Public Library. We have resources for citizenship. We do this in collaboration with the USCIS, which is the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. So they provide all the materials on citizenship. There's programming, ESOL classes, citizenship classes. We have them at every single of our 24 branches across the city. Yeah, and as
that's ambitious.
So as people know, some branches are smaller than others, so some corners are smaller than others. But the library has been an amazing partner. And one of the things that we learned a few years ago, we did a pretty informal survey, but just wanted to find out, sort of your average immigrant resident, what did they know about city government? Did they feel like they could access city services? And did they know about our office? Did they know, about the mayor's office? And, like most people, you're just living your day, and you go to school, you go to work, and you're not thinking about the different offices. So there was a lot of education to be done about our office, that we existed. But I will say that the one place that every single person mentioned is a place where they go, where they feel welcome, where they, like to spend time. Free access was their local library. So it was just a perfect opportunity for us to really come together and provide these one-stop shops for referrals. We also local nonprofits put their information there as well, and we expanded it to 3 of our Boston Centers for Youth and Families and 2 YMCAs as well.
Great. Makes perfect sense. Additional information can also be found through your Immigration 101 workshops?
Yep, absolutely. So over the past couple of years, over the past 18 months in particular, it's been crucial that we are able to extend information to our residents, because it's really unclear a lot of what is rhetoric, what is actual law, what is actually changing. It's hard for us to keep up with it, much less people who aren't spending their full day analyzing this information. So, and also to let residents know that they had rights, right? Even those who are undocumented, they have rights when they encounter an immigration official. And so it's important that they understand those rights. And so in collaboration with our nonprofit partners, have done these Immigration 101 and Know Your Rights workshops. And since 2016 have been delivered over 60 of these to more than 1,000 residents. And we have seen that it's another way for them to know as your city government, we are here for you.
Right.
We are here to serve you, and we're here to give you the information that you need to make the best decisions.
And throughout today's show, we're going to continue to scroll phone numbers,
Yep.
Websites,
Sure.
all the tools that you need to find out more
Yep.
detailed information.
Great.
And I continue to be impressed by how our city's many different offices work together.
Yeah.
That's always happening. You helped create a program called Celebrating What Unites Us.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
offices did you partner with?
So that is an amazing collaboration. I just love that. It's one of my favorites. So the Elderly Commission, through their Age Friendly Boston initiative, the Armenian Heritage organization on the Greenway. Who are their offices? Office of Food Access, of course. And this is really, it's a way for for us to celebrate immigrant heritage through food. I think it unites us all the time, but also bring people together, learn about each other's cultures. Each session starts in the Greenway with information, with a talk. We had our first one in June where Tania Del Rios, who is the new director of the Office for Women's Advancement and is an immigrant from Mexico, was telling her story, and then walked from the Greenway to the public market. That's our other fabulous partner, the kitchen, it's called, at the public market, where one of our local chefs does a demonstration on their food heritage, and a lot of times it's how you've adapted your food in a new country. So and it's opportunity for people to talk, to share, and to eat, which
this will
love.
Continue throughout the summer
and
the
winter.
Fall.
Yep, there will be one each month through December.
I'll look forward to attending.
You have to come. Yeah.
I will. Well, let's turn to the national scene.
Sure.
There's a lot to talk about there. Boston has not always been seen eye to eye with the federal administration in Washington on issues relating to immigrants and immigration. And I'd like to stress that. We do talk about immigrants and their advancement as opposed to immigration policy.
Of course.
So it's a very different, they're two different subjects.
Yes.
But how do things stand right now?
And that's a great distinction, because when you talk about the policy of immigration, that is a federal policy, and that is something that is, whether through executive order or Congress, is something that's brought down by the federal government. In our cities across the country, what we do is we are living out the effects of those policies, both good and bad. And so we have been very clear, as Mayor Walsh has been very clear, our administration has been very clear, that we are not in agreement on the current policies, whether it be Muslim ban or separating families at the border or increased ICE operations. These are all things that we see makes our city less safe. And so for us, it's important that we reiterate that these are the policies we have at a city level. We obviously can't change immigration. We don't have any say in that, but we have a Trust Act. So you know that our Boston police are here to protect you and to serve you, and not to report you to ICE or to serve as immigration officials. And that's something that is very intentional, and something that the police commissioner has been very clear about from the beginning, and very vocal about, that Boston police are not ICE. And so local policies like a Trust Act is something that allows people to feel more safe in their communities, because we know, and we'll continue to speak out against the federal government policies. We've done it in amicus briefs, we've done it in op-eds. The mayor received national attention for statements he made about sanctuary at City Hall, So, but one thing that we've seen, it's not uncommon in this sphere for mayors to really serve as a strong role, because these are their residents. These are the people who make their cities strong, and it makes all the sense in the world to let them know that, regardless of what's happening at the federal level, we'll do everything in our power
do
to protect you on the city level.
Well, there's been a lot of national discourse on the sanctuary cities and states over the past year and a half. Can you want to help us understand where Boston stands right now?
So sanctuary city. It's very difficult because it's a little bit complicated. So I think there's this,
all of this is.
All of this is very complicated. I think there's this idea that sanctuary cities are places where people go, where immigrants can go if they commit a crime and want to get away with it, which is just really not what really not what it is. And and Boston there's no real actual definition of sanctuary city. So Somerville has a ordinance or something through the city council that says they're a sanctuary city. Boston has a trust act, so we don't have something that says we're a sanctuary city. We have used that term because we feel like it's an easier term for people to understand, and for particularly for the immigrant community to say, okay, I can be safe. According to Attorney General Sessions, the definition of a sanctuary city is a city that doesn't allow information sharing between ICE and their local officials, and that is not. None of these cities fall into that category. So for his very own definition, we're not a sanctuary city. Yes. And then also in the courts, as I mentioned, the courts have been a powerful tool to help mitigate some of the impact of these federal policies. And one way that they did that was recently ruled that you cannot limit funding to cities because you deem them as sanctuary. You can't limit public safety funding to cities because you call them sanctuary. And it's very important because, of course, our dollars are short, and cities depend very much on federal dollars to run their cities. So we've been very encouraged by the fact that the courts have frequently sided with cities and with counties that have and states who have stood up to these policies.
Let's talk about DACA for just a moment, because there's just been so many unknowns over the last year. Can you help us with where we stand at the moment?
So currently, so DACA was the president was going to end the program in the fall, and due to a court injunction, said the DACA people can still renew their DACA. So, and we're waiting on a case to see if people who are eligible but hadn't applied yet are able to apply for the first time. But right now it's just renewals, and there are certain and people who have DACA can renew, and they should continue to renew if they're up for renewal. And we have all the qualifications that you need for DACA on our website, which include, so you have to be under 31 as of 2012. You had to have been in the country when DACA was signed. There's a bunch of
so it's still
items,
ongoing,
but it's still ongoing.
We've made a little progress.
Yeah, so we've made a little progress because of the courts, and we're hoping, obviously, that something passes at the federal level. It has bipartisan support. This is what's called the Dreamer bill. Unfortunately, gets caught up in all the other political items, and so. But one thing that we work very closely with our Dreamers here in the city. They have led this movement, and not only that, they have refused to let anything that would benefit them hurt other immigrants. So they said, we're not going to be used as pawn in this scheme. So we obviously want this to be permanent. We obviously want a DREAM Act, but we're not going to do it at the expense of others. And I applaud them for that.
Well, then everyone needs to be armed with information and legal information. So that's another way that your office is very helpful, because you provide pro bono legal help. consultations twice a month. Can you tell us how somebody would take advantage of that service?
Absolutely. So this is a walk-in service. You do not have to make a reservation. The only time that we'd ask you to call is if you need translation, if possible, a week before, except for Spanish. We always have a Spanish attorney on site. So that's, and we have so many people that speak Spanish in the office, so if need be. So if it's Spanish translation, no need to call. But if it's anything else, then people can call. But other than that, it's 12 to 2, the first and third Wednesday of each month. We just had one this past Wednesday.
About how many people will attend?
It's interesting. It varies. When I first started in 2014, maybe on an average, maybe 15 to 20 people per session. That has increased tremendously over the past couple of years. We've had as high as 50 in one session. And these are volunteer attorneys who come on their lunch hour to give a free consultation up to 20 minutes. They're not going to fill out forms for you, or actually, they're not taking your case. They could, if that's something that they, decide that you need. They also offer referrals. Oftentimes it is something that can be solved in 20 minutes, because people can say, well, I was told by this attorney or told by this notary public that if I paid them this much money, they could help me with the status, and that attorney can say, no, actually, that's fraudulent, because that's a big issue in the immigrant community as well, as people getting taken advantage of. So this is really, at the very least, to save people, so they know that they're coming to an attorney that is qualified, that has been vetted. And so, and they have been amazing on the days that we've had 50 people, and they've stayed up to 3 hours to be able to see everyone on that day. We have seen, in the summer months, it kind of goes down a little bit, and, sort of has balanced off a bit. And there are many organizations that provide legal clinics. One of our closest allies, the Irish International Immigration Center, also does these clinics across the city. Now the city of Cambridge is also doing it. So we've seen one positive thing that has come over out of the last year and a half has been sort of this uptick in people wanting to help and do more. Well,
are your services open to all? Meaning, does an individual need to show documentation in order to get your help?
No, you don't need to show ID, you don't need to show documentation. When you come into City Hall, you do go through security, but you don't show identification. City Hall is open to everybody, and you don't have to live in the city of Boston either. So anyone who lives, works, visits the city can come, and the only information we take is country of origin. It's just helpful information for us to have, but we don't like to keep any information that could possibly identify anyone. So
it's comforting and good information to have.
Yes. And the attorneys in that 20-minute session, that is attorney-client privilege. So we don't know what it is, and any information that attorney gets is private information.
Okay. Money is always important. It's wonderful for this pro bono work, but we still need funding to keep many of these programs going.
Sure.
And the Greater Boston Immigrant Defense Fund is crucial to ensuring that work continues. So how is that funded?
Yeah, so that is a public-private partnership. It's currently funded through private dollars, through foundations and corporations who and as the city, we've helped organize them to come together and create a fund for about 10 organizations, community-based, as well as legal service providers for people in deportation proceedings, because immigration law is actually civil law, and so there's no guarantee, there's no right to an attorney when in your immigration proceedings. And so, and if you can't afford one, then you don't have one, right? Unless you're served by one of the few agencies that do the work pro bono, who raise their money through private funds. And the difference in you being able to win your case is astronomical. About 4% of people without an attorney are able actually win their case and are able to stay, where it turns out it's about 40% for people who have an attorney are able. So that means you have all these cases that are valid cases that would actually people have a valid opportunity to stay in the United States, but just because they don't have an attorney, they're not able to do that.
And currently, there's over $1 million in this fund that's helping towards these.
So it's $1 million going, as I mentioned, to 10 organizations, not just in Boston, in the greater Boston area, and it's divided between a good portion of it goes to the legal service providers so that they can build capacity. So for most of them, that means they've been able to use the funds to hire an attorney. And then our community-based organizations who are doing the outreach and the education, the know your rights, and because those are the places that people go when they're in trouble, or that they're part of the community, they trust them, and so they're able to make that connection between the community-based and the legal service providers.
Well, much of your hard work leads to a really happy day, Citizenship Day. Tell us what that day is like.
So that it's a fabulous day. It's a day where we partner with an organization, fabulous organization called Project Citizenship, as well as Guillen law firm. And people come and they get help with their naturalization paperwork from people who have been trained, and then it all gets vetted through the attorneys. So, and it's completely free. And also we have information there on fee waivers. So what a lot of people don't know is that if you are eligible for any kind of means-tested benefits, your fee can be waived. So if income or the cost is an impediment, this one takes away, and and you can trust that your paperwork is getting filled out correctly. You can trust that it's being vetted. You can trust that and they will help you through the process.
Must be a popular day.
It's a great day. So we're in our 5th year. This year it's on September 30th at the Reggie Lewis. Last year we served nearly 400 people.
Wow.
And I think about 350 applications were filled and mailed that day. The others, Project Citizenship, this is what they do year-round, so they're able to follow up, and they actually stay in contact with the people throughout their to see that they make it through, because this is just the first step. Of course, and you have to take the test and then have the ceremony, and so it's a really great, positive day. It's just, people are just so happy to be able to do it, and so proud to become Americans. They love this country. They chose to be here. So,
and you get the ability to see how your hard work, the results of your hard work.
And like you said, it's a positive day, because so much can feel negative throughout the day. Just feeling constantly playing defense, this is an opportunity for us to play offense a little bit.
I think another wonderful way to see your hard work is through the Immigrants with Love murals, the beautiful murals that are throughout many of our neighborhoods. That was a national program in the beginning, though, right?
Yes, so that was, and I have to say, I have an amazing staff, and all of these programs are just not possible without their hard work, without their dedication and their creativity. So the Two Immigrants with Love was a social media campaign by Define American, and it was an intern in our office who just loved the campaign. It was a postcard campaign. People write, postcards as to why they love immigrants, and and shoot a picture. The mayor has one. People across the country, and she said, wow, this would be I love this. Let's do something locally and something that's permanent. And so she worked with Heidi Shork, who is the director of the Mayor's Mural Crew, and they thought murals are a perfect way to celebrate our immigrant heritage.
They're vibrant, they're beautiful, they're big.
They're big, and what they decided was, let's feature someone who was an immigrant many decades ago, when someone who's new immigrant. And so we have one in Rosendale, one in East Boston, and we have a third one in East Boston as well, which is an ode to our grandmothers, nonas, and abuelas. Everyone knows the strong role that grandmothers play in both family and community, and so this was a great opportunity to demonstrate that. But it's a beautiful it's just a beautiful project. I love that it was an intern that thought of it, and that we were able, you know, because we have the, you know, mayor's mural crew. Not all cities have a mayor's mural crew, you know, so we have a mayor's mural crew. We were able to make it a reality here in Boston.
That's wonderful. And another great way that we all can celebrate, that you celebrate, is through the We Are Boston Gala.
Yeah, yes.
It's we're in the 13th year?
13th year, yep. So it's a way to raise funds that we're then able to distribute to community-based nonprofits across the city, as well as an amazing program called English for New Bostonians. It's in business leaders, community leaders, they come together and they celebrate what makes Boston such an amazing city, and that is our diversity.
And they have a chance to get dressed up.
And they have a chance to get dressed
That's
up.
fun. That's
and,
always fun.
Last year we had Pedro Martinez was there, and it was just it's every year it's a fabulous event. People love it. This year it's November 27th at the Westin Seaport, and you can find more information on our website.
Great. Well, you've told us a lot about how your office works to help alleviate the fear of the unknown, of course, causes anxiety.
Yeah.
But how can we, as individuals, how can the rest of the community help?
Yeah,
Do you have any?
You know, like I mentioned earlier, one thing that has been very heartening throughout these past 18 months, and also in light of what's been happening at the border, is that more often than not, people just want to know how they can help. And we are a pro-immigrant city, and we have seen people stand up for, you know, our allies stand up for immigrant residents. I would say, you know, there's a new app, or I think it's a computer program where people can go and put information, and you can get matched with an organization that's looking for someone that has the skills. Because I think, even though it was amazing to have so many people volunteer, like right after the election and then what was happening at the border, sometimes these organizations get a little bit overwhelmed. So this is an opportunity to really streamline. And also people bring different skills to the table. So maybe you're an attorney and you can be trained on how to fill out naturalization papers. Maybe you speak another language and you're willing to serve as an interpreter for our immigration clinics, or, you know, whatever it is that everyone has something to give and to bring to the table. So I would say, you know, if people want to actually do something, that's a great opportunity. You can find information on our website about that as well. And I would say to be informed and to continue speaking positively about immigrants and what immigrants bring to our city, and to speak out against hate and discrimination.
Well, you've done a great job at helping us be better informed. I appreciate you being here today.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you for joining us. We all must work together to meet the needs of our growing and ever-changing foreign-born community. You can help as an individual or a group. There are internship opportunities. You can volunteer for a one-day event like Citizenship Day, or you can sponsor a fundraiser like the We Are Boston Gala. Learn more at boston.gov/immigrant. There are ways we all can and should get involved. Thanks for watching. I'm Lois Leonard, and we'll see you next time on Commissioner's Corner.